Buddy.
We'll go with Kim Hughes.
Hi, everyone. Kim Hughes, Finance Manager.
Jen Cooper.
Hi, everyone. Jen Cooper, Membership and Events Manager.
And Amy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy. I'm the Communications Manager.
Thanks. And we'll go with Francis and Stephen there. You guys can hear us?
Right here. Fully home interest.
Yeah, great.
Yep. Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yes. Your image is frozen.
Okay, good.
You're in a contemplative pose. We'll go with Gene Pierce.
Gene Pierce with Glenora Wine Cellars and Nat Vineyards in the Finger Lakes region.
Gene. Ellie Shipper.
Good morning, Ali, or it's good morning for me. I'm in Australia right now. Ali Shipper, owner and winemaker of Chronicle Wines, formerly Brooklyn Enology.
And I think I saw on Instagram you had your wedding recently too, so congratulations.
Oh, thanks very much. Appreciate that.
Congrats, Allie.
Thank you. Good to see you, Amy.
Let's go with Louie and Donna. Well, Louie and Donna Gridley, grape growers, rocks for the New York Wine Grape Growers Association. So glad they're on. Oh, I see they unmuted. Hey.
There, how about that? Hi, everybody. Glad to be with you.
Thanks for joining. Let's go with Kyle. Maybe she's Susan.
Hi there, Sue Hearn from Suru Wines.
Thanks for joining. And Erica. Hey, just doing introductions, but sure everyone knows you. Well, to I guess cut to the chase, we're hosting these fireside chats on a monthly basis. We started a month ago, just since it's a challenge to get around these days. I'm actually based in New York City, if you weren't aware. So I have been staying here, staying safe, and we just wanted to create this as an opportunity, one for you to connect with the foundation, and then also to connect with each other, to share best practices as they come up, or just, I know that there's been a lot of regulatory issues too, so to kind of talk about that. But also an opportunity for us to share with you what we've been up to. We, despite COVID, have been doing a lot of, under the hood renovations to the foundation. And today we wanted to present to you some work we've been doing on our membership program, or basically a membership structure. Just going to bring up a PowerPoint here. And so what I'm about to share with you was reviewed by our board of directors. They had their summer meeting via Zoom this past Tuesday. And this is actually based on a lot of feedback that we've received over the past 3 years. Many of you who are on this call, we've spoken with and, kind of heard, what you find valuable about membership, or what you would find valuable, and, how a due structure should be modeled that, really provides a reasonable return on investment. So we, just before I dive into what that model is going to look like, we did a strategic planning process in 2018 that really provided us some good guideposts in terms of how we should continue to modernize and transform the foundation. And part of that was updating the visual identity of the organization. So, for a long time, we used Uncork New York, which is a, great alliteration. It was a great tagline. And we brought in a consulting firm to help us update our brand identity. And that's what resulted in Boldly New York. And so the look and feel that you see of this PowerPoint presentation is part of that new branding that the foundation invested in. But one thing that we we keep pushing up against is really how do we talk about New York wines and New York grapes with one voice, while also doing a good job of representing all the various regions of the state, because the foundation is responsible for representing grape growers and wines from Long Island to the Hudson Valley, Lake Erie, Champlain Valley, Upper Hudson, the Finger Lakes, Niagara. So there's a lot of constituents that we have to pull together to represent the New York wine industry. And so part of what we've been doing, and I think really since June, we engaged with another consulting firm called Padilla, and they're going to be working on a global messaging marketing strategy for us. So they're going to be developing positioning statements as to how we talk about New York wines, how we can reform our website so it more powerfully communicates to consumers, trade, and media about, you know, what folks should expect from the New York wine industry. And we're going to be developing marketing tools to help support this Boldly New York branding and to help support members of the foundation position their products in the marketplace. So I can't say what those end products are going to be, but we know that, you know, there's challenges with getting our wines into retail stores, into restaurants. That's been the purpose of the New York Drinks New York program for a long time, which was to address access into the New York City market. So, you know, for example, we imagine coming out of this marketing strategy process is point of sale materials that can be used in a retail store that really, you know, presents New York as a region. So, you know, if you're in there with a series of other New York State wines, there's a branded experience. There's a unified message about what a consumer can expect from New York wines. I don't know if that's what the end result's going to be, but that's sort of one of the ideas coming out of this. So, and that project is being funded through the grant that we receive on an annual basis from USDA for our export program, because it's a global messaging product. And I think, you know, if we want to really stand on the world stage, we have to not just develop marketing messages that are appropriate for the US market, but really, you know, position us to have a standing in the world stage. So you'll see here some bullet points. You know, we are really about membership engagement. Again, that's really the purpose of these calls. We want to hear from you. We want to get your input and feedback. We want to ensure that your participation with the foundation is affordable and meaningful. And again, going back to that return on investment. So, you know, for a long time, we've used this gallons fee structure model, which I think maybe was more appropriate 20 years ago when there was fewer wineries. And I think partly it was designed to, you know, maximize the dues that we were able to get from some of the larger wineries that existed at the time, like Constellation Brands, who I guess more or less are not really a winery in New York State anymore. But I think that sort of distorted how, you know, dues worked as the industry grew. And so what I'm going to share with you is a due structure that's based on service delivery and the value of those services that we're going to provide. So it's impactful for any winery across the state, no matter what stage of development, or if, you know, they're just from a new winery to a winery that's been around for 40 years. And the other thing we're doing is just from a fiscal perspective is aligning with our fiscal year, which goes from April 1st to March 31st. It follows the state fiscal year because we're still primarily funded by the state of New York. And so just from an accounting purposes, audit purpose, it's better for us to kind of follow that structure. So we are proposing to move to 2 levels of membership. And you'll see it here defined as Tier 1 and Tier 2 membership. Tier 1 is $300 on an annual basis. Tier 2 is $600. And so Tier 1 is really about providing basic business support and services. So you can kind of see on this chart here, I have a large screen, so it looks quite substantial to me and I can see the checks pretty well. But, you know, I think the key things are, you may have noticed that we are working more intently with our business associate partners to provide educational webinars. So those are, you know, webinars that are about accounting, about safety management, about COVID-19 issues, legal issues. So those would be included as part of this tier of membership. We released a wine tourism marketing toolkit last year, and that is a toolkit that we're going to look to update on an annual basis because it includes market research, consumer research, marketing tactics and tools. And then again, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to see the outcome of this global messaging project, but I think part of that is going to be, the development of customizable point of sale materials that you can use to, help promote your brand in a on and off premise environment and help promote New York State. And you can kind of see we already started this with the New York Wine Classic. The category winners for the past 2 years, we've provided them with stickers and labels and actually special packaging for their boxes to help them show their recognition of winning awards in the New York Wine Classic. And then tier 2 is what we're framing more as a capacity building. So just going back to the business associates that we work, for example, Mengel Metzger Bar accounting firm may provide a financial hotline that is available right now to any member. And so we're going to look to expand that to include a law firm, insurance companies, folks that can provide some, critical support on a consulting basis to members that are looking for it. And I think this makes sense because some of you know I come from Empire State Development. I ran the one-stop shop, and that was really intended to be, a service to help clarify regulatory issues with the state. So very similar, we're looking to work with specialists that can help resolve business questions that you may have. And this is also going to include webinar expanded webinar access with higher touch consultants that we're going to work with. And a good example of this is a webinar we did in June with Sandra Hess, who runs DTC Wine Workshops, and she provided a very timely webinar related to how to maximize your opportunities online with connecting with consumers and increasing your sales. And I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else on this, but we had the New York Drinks New York program, and unfortunately we had to cancel the grand tasting that we normally hold in March. And we're pivoting into doing Zoom tastings and Zoom educational engagement with trade and media and consumers. And so that is really going to be, you see here, beta program. So for the phase 9 participants in New York Drinks New York, we're starting to test out how we can do using digital platforms to help promote New York State wines. And we're going to roll that out as a potential tier 3 membership in 2021. Val, I just want to turn it over to you if you want to add anything that I may have missed.
No, I don't think so. I mean, just to go back to the last point on that slide, we realize, I think for some wineries, maybe quite a few wineries, that you may be paying less, especially in 2020. And there might be ways, if you are particularly interested in supporting grape research or sustainability programs or our marketing programs, if you have funds that you'd like to invest in those things, we can give you those opportunities. So I think that will happen this year if you feel strongly about investing in the programs that we run. And then I guess I just want to make sure that everybody knows when we talk about those marketing tools and kind of rolling out marketing messages, we really are cognizant that one size won't fit all. Though we want things to be branded as New York wines, and that people can visually recognize kind of our brand, we want to make sure that we're providing you with solutions that are flexible enough to your winery, your consumers, the trade that you're looking to work with. We're just hoping that we're able to provide some assistance so that it's a guided kind of New York wines, choose your own adventure. So that's what we'd really love to help with. So those are my thoughts anyway.
Great. Let me just go to the next. So we're going to be launching a refresh website in August. The current website, I think, has been active since 2016. And as Val mentioned, if you have not rejoined yet, we'll be offering a prorated rate. And then also if you've already joined and pay your dues, we can we're going to readjust to the new rates and provide you the option to, invest in other ways with the foundation. As I mentioned, it's now going to follow our fiscal year. So through March 31st, 2021, membership will be active. And, I think we have developed some really great relationships with some internationally renowned experts in wine marketing, and we're going to be engaging them as consultants and as providing these kind of capacity building webinars on really cutting edge thinking on how you can advance your business practices as a winery to increase your sales. And we are going to be recruiting a slate of New York wine brand ambassadors. We had a really great run with Paul Brady as our sole New York brand ambassador, who was full-time. And I think a variety of factors, but also kind of being COVID, interrupting the grand tasting, it helped us realize that we almost need a stable of brand ambassadors out there that are not necessarily full-time, but they can specialize in different activities for us, whether it's webinars or when we can start doing in-person tastings again, or educational type of opportunities, they can fulfill those roles. And just again, we're also doing programming on an international level. So we will be having activities in Western Europe, Asia, and Canada. And so, we really, again, I think it's going back to our goal is to really speak with one voice about New York wines, and speak to the nuance of the various regions and the grapes that we do have, but to really, I think, present us in the strongest way possible in the marketplace. And I guess before I turn over for questions, just I don't know, Charlie, Kim, Amy, Apiso, if you guys have anything you want to add in terms of this direction we're looking to take membership.
Well, I mean, this is, as Sam mentioned, it's something that's gotten it's the result of a lot of feedback from our members and the board, and a lot of hard work by the staff, especially. But I think that we're very interested to hear the post-shaping feedback from the members, especially those that are on the line now. But that's really all I have to say about it. I think Sam covered pretty much everything else.
Thanks, Charlie. So happy to take any of your questions or feedback, or I see Amy's fired back on. So.
Yes, I don't really have much to add besides the fact that I'm very much in support of this new structure. It's a structure that we tried to adopt in Long Island a few years ago, and we started going down the path and unfortunately just didn't make it happen. But there was a call by membership on Long Island to adopt a services-based structure similar to what you guys are doing. So I'm happy to see that you guys that the New York Wine and Grape Foundation and staff and now our board is taking the lead in instituting this type of structure, and hopefully it's something that the rest of the wine trails can use as sort of a starting point if they try to adopt something like this within their own trails, because I really think it is the fairest way of having members pay their dues.
I'm going to bring this slide back up just so you guys can see the due structure, so it's a point of reference.
Hey, Sam, it's Jen. I also did want to mention, especially for Donna and Louie, that although this is specifically focused on winery membership, we are looking to see what we can do for grower membership as well. And we'll be putting together a grower survey and working on that in 2021.
Thanks, Jen. Gene, I see you've unmuted. Would you like to ask a question or share something?
Well, I'd like to share something. Is one who has somewhat questioned the due structure, as you know, Sam, for a number of years. I find this very refreshing. I think it's going to be very helpful for those of us who have particularly paid some of the higher levels of dues. I'm sure we're probably going to pay as much, but we're going to be paying for services, and that's a much easier thing for us to look at and sell. So thank you, and thank you for the board for considering this. I think it's a great step forward.
Thanks, Gene. And thanks for taking all the time to dialogue with me too. It's really been helpful to help us get to this point.
Hey, Sam.
Hey.
This is Francis from Bullet Hill. Hey, this membership structure looks great. We think this is a great idea. Just a couple questions. What is in the marketing toolkit? What type of marketing research would be provided?
Well, I think it's similar to what you guys supported in that wine tourism toolkit, which is, we did consumer research, and we developed some archetypes of consumers that we should be targeting. And what are the kind of messaging and positioning that works for those type of consumers. And if you look at the toolkit, it also describes what is the engagement or the type of activities that those various folks are interested in. So I'll just take for example, it defined the millennial generation is interested in new and different experiences. They may not have as much disposable income, but they want to come to our wine regions and really explore and experience some of the more unique varieties that are grown in New York State. And so I think like that project was very impactful in us developing this boldly New York branding, and it's definitely research that needs to continually be updated because the market, even if you just follow the Silicon Valley Bank report, things change year to year, and things like COVID happen. So we're going to have to keep repivoting and reinvesting in that research to, I think, support effective marketing outreach and really, I guess, for us, as you know, we only get so many funds from the state, so we have to invest in things that are going to be the most impactful with a limited budget. And so I think backing that up with research, helps us invest in the things that are going to hopefully have the best return for the industry.
Okay. That makes sense. And now the enhanced webinar access, who do you see hosting those or like leading those?
Yeah, I'll let Val take that.
Or like when it comes to like direct to consumer market strategies, would that be like somebody from like a marketing firm that does a lot of direct to consumer?
Yeah, exactly. So we'd have a process, and we're actually starting it now, where we're kind of going to go out and take proposals and get feedback, references, kind of the way that we would vet any other membership benefit. We knew Sandra Hess from DTC Wine Workshop, so that's a good example. And almost every other state association was using her at that particular time for DTC workshops, and nothing but glowing praise. And she nailed it, and she has a stable of experts that we're thinking about contracting with as well. So people like that. But there will be a vetting process for the experts that we use, and frankly, put on retainer, because the idea is hopefully moving into next fiscal year, we'll actually have folks on retainer so that you guys can have one-on-one time with them. So if you're in a certain level of membership, that third tier, you can call them up and get one-on-one consulting.
Gotcha. And the trade programs, are they still going to be focused on New York City, or are they going to be branching out to other markets?
Those are going to be opened up. For this year, we're actually looking at expanding outside of New York City to the state of New York. But in future years, they really will be guided by the wineries that are participating. So if you tell us your primary market is, Ohio, and your secondary market is Florida, the great thing about us moving to a digital marketing platform is that we can focus on getting, trade media and creating events that are focused to them and kind of engaging with them, focusing our advertising dollars on Florida and Ohio. I mean, I think that's why we, there's some silver lining to kind of moving a lot of this online, and that's just giving us a lot more flexibility and to be more responsive to you.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you want to take a look at how the enhanced webinars would look like, we do have the Sandra Hess one available for anyone to watch. So we can share that link after the webinar so you can check that out.
And they're just a much deeper dive. Like, not only is, I think, at a different level of expertise, but the basic series of webinars are usually an hour. And I just kind of position them as like, you know, the intro style 101, but the kind of the advanced webinars are really, they're deeper dives, kind of up to 2 hours. You need, you know, our recommendation or our requirement is that our wineries walk away with tools, tools they can use, you know, literally the next day to improve whatever process we talked about. So much more tool-based and action-oriented.
Okay, cool. There's a lot of value in this. Yeah. It's pretty good.
I don't know if it's okay, but I'm going to call on Erica to see what her reaction is to all this.
I like it. I'm surprised. For us, this will be a decrease in our fees. I'm sure, like Jean said, I'm sure that we'll buy into some other programming and marketing and things like that. But I think it's a good jumping point. It's different. It's what we need. I think it'll be really, really nice for people, more people to see. I wish more people were on the call.
Well, we're recording this session, so I think maybe I should have mentioned that earlier, so maybe folks could temper their comments, but hopefully you're not embarrassed by anything you've said. But you know what I forgot to mention is actually, so the reason we kind of accelerated presenting or redoing our membership due structure, because as we were planning our budget for this year, we knew it was just as COVID was happening. We had a board meeting late February, and literally 2 weeks later, we had to postpone the grand tasting. And then probably 5 days after that, New York City just shut down, and restaurants weren't allowed to be open anymore, and all of you had to shut down for on-premise sales. So we anticipated that we were going to have a significant drop in dues because we just weren't sure what the impact was going to be on the industry with the shutdown. And I guess fortunately, many of you found ways to thrive in other ways. I mean, it's probably definitely not like it's been in a typical year, but your business has been able to adjust and adapt. But that kind of gave us the impetus and the board the impetus to just say, you know what, like, we know that the gallon structure was outdated and had to be revised. And so we originally thought, like, well, we might just have to provide a free membership tier, because there's going to just be, we want to keep people engaged with us. We don't want them to not be participating with the foundation because they just don't have the cash flow to pay dues. And so I'll say, we want to have as many people engaged with us as possible. And that's why we restructured this way. So, everyone can find value in the programming we're doing. And, I guess, fortunately, everyone's doing reasonably okay, and that we can move forward with this new due structure. I don't know, Val, if there's anything else I should add to that, but that was kind of how we got down this road, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, and I think that you'll probably see, some slight raise of the dues, especially in tier 2, and of course adding in tier 3. But I think Sam's point is spot on. We just wanted to make it as accessible as possible, because if we can build a model that's able to kind of serve, I mean, right now we have 142 member wineries out of 460 in the state. We really would like to have at least half of the wineries be a part of this community as active members. So I think we have to be able to scale our model, make it more widely accessible, and dues will grow that way. And if the programs work and they're good and people want to invest in them, like, the proof will kind of be in the pudding. If we can make those programs really work, for your wineries. We're betting on that. We feel strongly that those programs are solid.
Amy, you want to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the other really positive thing about this new structure is that it puts very specific emphasis on marketing. Whereas I think in the past, even truthfully, my perception of the New York Wine and Grape Foundation was that you guys were mainly focused on advocacy and research. And so I think A lot of us are really needing marketing right now, and needing New York State to better position itself as we grow, especially for like brands like mine, where I'm actively seeking to expand our distribution footprint. It's so important for me to talk to distributors that have a positive impression of New York wines and the region as a whole. So I think the, kind of moving to this type of model where there's very specific call outs to the marketing efforts and the marketing services is positive for me. And I think it will be for others because those benefits are so tangible and so important for us right now.
I think, when just to call you guys out, Francis and Stephen, I remember one time, this may have been Lillian said this, is like, you guys are in markets where sometimes you're the only New York State wine, and you're like, hey, it would be great if there was more brands there and that it was supported by some marketing from the foundation. And so, that's, probably not going to happen in year one, but that's sort of the long-term intent of making this shift.
So you have this at Ohio. I think it's great. I mean, honestly, like we want to be able to, we ship to, we do business in almost every state east of the Mississippi, but it's much easier for us to do business in Ohio, Western Massachusetts, Pennsylvania. I mean, those are places where consumers can come and visit us, so we can develop that relationship. So it's much harder if we go to cities on the opposite side of it.
Yeah.
Music to our ears.
Good. Sue or Erica, did you want to say something? No.
Oh no, I was just going to comment that I think the newsletters that you all put out are very valuable, and I'm happy to see that that's a free thing. Feature. I think that that's a platform that you can really gain membership through. I know that every time the newsletter's in my mailbox, I'm reading it. There's always something there. And so that's been, this last couple of years has been, for me, I've seen a real difference there. So whatever you're doing there, I think has been really great. And it makes me want to sign more people in the business up for it. More people in our business need to read it. And so I really appreciate the time that you all put into that.
We have fun doing it.
Sam, Allie Shapper here, if I might ask a question.
Yes.
In looking at the proposed membership benefits, I'm really curious about the consumer marketing initiatives. What are the, so what are the forethoughts and plans surrounding that? Because I see you have Vino Shipper and a couple of other line items under there. What is the intention to do something digital or through Vino Shipper to work on some kind of sampling or shipping program from multiple wineries, as Vino Shipper is an e-commerce enabling site? Yeah,
I'm going to turn it over to Val, but I'll just first say, I mean, I know you've been a participant in New York Drinks New York for a long time.
Yeah.
And we, fortunately that have been funded by the Genesee Valley Regional Market Authority for many years. And especially they underwrote the cost for the grand tasting, which is a significant investment. And so they had come to us last fall and they said, look, we're not willing to support this big event in New York City anymore. You're going to have to come up with a different way to utilize our funds. And so, this is like pre-COVID. We're like, we know that New York wineries, even the successful ones, still have difficulty with distribution. And, even for us, we wanted to be able to package the wines together to, help support connections with consumers and trade. So actually the first thing we were looking at was like LibDib and trying to utilize LibDib to support the expansion of New York Drinks New York into other markets like Chicago, because they were licensed there. And so as we entered the Chicago market, at least LibDib could be a temporary, distribution angle to get the wines there. But as the months have gone by, Vino Shipper has really become the service that we're looking to get engaged with. There's already, I think, 20 New York wineries that are using it. So I'll turn it over to Val, but I think, we're we're, really excited about the potential of the digital platforms and Vino Shipper to support engagement with consumers.
Yeah, I
that's
think,
cool.
Allie, I think you kind of nailed it. We're essentially looking at how we can take all of the work that Padilla is doing on our global messaging, take all of our funds from GVRMA and the state and the USDA, and build up our website to really kind of be the hub, the place where people go to learn about New York wines, whether it's virtual events like tastings that are geared towards consumers, or trade, or virtual vineyard tours or downloadable assets that are just kind of educational in nature. What we're really excited about is taking those assets, because we haven't been a marketing association for a long time in terms of being active. We want to make really strong or stronger alliances with retail associations, restaurants, the wine trails, the regional associations, those that have really strong consumer newsletters, emails, and provide them with electronic kits, all of our schedules, blurbs that they can use. So be really good marketing partners with them, use their lists. Kind of hopefully it could be a benefit to them. It'll be a benefit to us, drive people to our website, have people engage in those virtual events, have all of the wines. So if you participate in our program, which is really kind of what we're testing right now with the New York Drinks New York folks that are in this particular year that we don't get to have the grand tasting. We're going to test this out and place, all of the wines that are included in any of the seminars need to be on Vino Shipper. Hopefully they will also be available in certain hubs locally in different retail stores. And then people can get the wines, engage in the seminars and kind of have a place to go back to where there's always something more to learn and engage in. So that's how kind of the Vino Shipper tool is going to act. And I mean, it's also great kind of market research of our own for New York wines and what people are engaging in, what they're buying, and we can report that back to you guys. So hopefully it sounds like at least the beginning of a good idea.
Yeah. On the topic of Vino Shipper, I actually adopted Vino Shipper as quickly implemented it when everything went into shutdown to open up access for our direct-to-consumer sales, and it was immediately effective.
Great.
So if you're looking for feedback on working with them or possible ideas, I'd be more than happy to contribute that, because I've been thinking in the back of my mind for the last couple of weeks, there's got to be a way that either the Long Island Wine Country Association or now New York Wine and Grape Foundation could leverage a relationship with them, and whether that through membership have reduced rates of shipping through Vino Shipper, or maybe there's some kind of mutually beneficial multi-winery sample package shipment to be done. So anyway, if you're looking for any feedback on having worked with them, I'm happy to provide that.
We would love that. Yeah, those are definitely things that we're thinking about for sure.
Super.
And I think just at a minimum, so the idea came from, I give a little credit to Wine America. They do a gathering of all the state and regional associations, and we had an in-person meeting in DC, and the head of the Tennessee Wine Council was like, hey, we just got on Vino Shipper, and it's just an additional marketing channel that we're able to provide our members. And so I think they had a branded Tennessee page. I was like, well, this is something we should do for New York. So even if we can't get the discounted shipping, it's at least a centralized place that we can market as a place to get New York wines. And we can support that. And, I think what we see as at least beneficial is, they hold all the shipping licenses for the various states. So you can have that engagement with them. If you're a smaller winery, you don't have to deal with any of the compliance issues. And it seems like it's actually a little bit more cost effective to work with them than to have a staff person kind of keep track of all the reports you have to file, because they do that all for you. So I think it's a kind of like good capacity building for smaller wineries. And then it's also a way that we can promote the region as a whole in a centralized place.
Yeah, and I'll say that they, being the kind of platform that they are, their SEO, their search engine optimization, and their other digital tools they seem to be quite excellent, because it wasn't too long after we started using the service that if you went and searched for, did a Google search for our winery, it's within the first 2 or 3 hits on Google. So that could be a real, just via their technology capabilities. They're going to be a great resource, I think. So yeah, looking forward to contributing to that effort.
Awesome. Glad you had a positive experience too.
Mm-hmm.
Sue or Kyle, you guys have any questions or thoughts you'd like to add?
It all seems, this is Sue, it all seems very exciting and fresh and new. And we're looking forward to seeing, the directions that you're going to be going in. I'm not sure for us if it will cost us more money or less, because we're a small winery and we didn't pay that much in fees before. And we do want to utilize a lot of services. So we're just going to have to wait and see how that works for us.
Sounds good. Well, we're almost at the hour, but I don't know if there's any questions not necessarily related to this that anyone wants to ask. I guess I might open this can, just since I have Erica here too, which is, she's the president of the New York Wine Industry Association, which is really kind of the advocacy organization for the New York wine industry. And we've been working very closely since COVID started to keep the industry informed, to have dialogue with our state and elected officials about, the regulations that they are been rolling out as it affects the wine and grape industry. And so, this whole COVID thing has made it abundantly clear that we really need to have a stronger advocacy infrastructure, because they're entirely volunteer run. So there's only so much that they're, capable of executing on. And, because we're funded by the state, it sort of boxes us into to the extent that we can be a pointed stick of advocacy for the wine industry. So, I think kind of hand in hand with this change with the due structure, I think one angle we're going to look at is if we can, create a pool of funds to support advocacy, whether that's to, support maybe a position at NIWEA where there is someone in place full or part-time that can, help support a proactive advocacy for the industry in Albany, and, even I think working with Wine America as well. But, I think this is just I think this change in membership dues is going to allow us to, I think, work in more targeted ways and find ways to support an advocacy agenda so we can be well represented proactively as Albany considers regulatory changes, and they're not implementing things that maybe are done with a broad brush that are not necessarily appropriate for the wine and grape industry.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. It's been abundant. It's very clear to us that we do need to be a little bit more structured to get ahead of some of the stuff. This situation we're in now is unprecedented, but there are other issues that we do handle. Our group we spend time in Albany when we can. Like Sam mentioned, we are volunteer run. And so we've been thinking a lot about how to make this work a little bit better so that we can be doing more and communicating ahead of change instead of running behind it, just trying to catch up. So with that, we'll be sending out a newsletter. You'll get it, Sam. But we're offering complimentary membership for the remainder of this year. It's a non-voting membership, but what that will do is you'll get access to the newsletter, but also be able to sign on. We do have Zoom calls once a month where we talk about what kind of advocacy we're doing, who's reaching out, who's doing op-eds, what our messaging is going to be. A good example is just last week with the new executive order that we had to offer food. We were on a Zoom call. We decided not to die on that hill. We decided to keep it positive. we decided as a group that our messaging was going to be that nothing really changed that much. We have to offer crackers. We've always pretty much offered crackers. And we wanted to keep it positive because we knew that the media would take it and either spin it in one direction or another. We want to stay kind of in the positive side of things with the governor's office. We do have contacts that we speak with at this point every other day, either in the regional control rooms that have been assigned or in the governor's office or with like Stephen Fleming and those folks there. So it's definitely, you're all welcome to reach out if you do have any questions. It's really important. It's more important now than ever. And I've been talking a lot with Sam about that, trying to brainstorm how we can just do things a little bit better for the whole state, because we really are the only advocacy membership in the state of New York for New York wines. And so we need to figure it out as a whole state, as an industry, how we want to be represented and maintain that. So
Can I just add that now that we have both Erica and Sam in the same room, sort of, I think the discussion should be broadened a little and try to figure out how to get the wineries and the growers who have some of the same issues. I mean, we're all in it for the more product we sell, the more grapes we're going to sell. And I have kicked around the idea with grape growers for a while, why couldn't we move the Bev to Albany and invite those guys from the North Country and the Hudson Valley and Long Island and have a couple-day Bev conference and follow it up with Hill visits or Albany visits, however you want to call it, and just make it more functionable, like let's get it all together and do it.
So I'm not sure if you're aware, but so this last year we did partner with the Wine and Grape Foundation, and we did have an event in Albany. It was very successful, the most successful event we've done yet. It's held in the Legislative Office building in the Well, and we had, I don't know, at least 200, 250 people that came. Media were there, and then the next 2 days, well, for 2 days we also did office visits. So that primarily focused on making relationships, asking, at that point we were asking for funding for the Wine and Grape Foundation, and then politically, on the political side of things, we were asking, we were talking a lot about the bottle bill at that point because they were talking about putting deposits on wine bottles. We were able to kind of stop that for now. That's another thing we worked on last year, just kind of sidelined for a minute, but I was on calls with the DEC trying to help them to understand how putting a deposit on a wine bottle would just be more cumbersome for our small businesses and farms than helpful. But
Erica, I've been out there with you guys before. I mean, when this originally got started.
you poured for us.
And I agree that, there are winery issues, but there are also grape issues. But why can't it just be, the New York Wine and Grape Day at Albany? I mean, you guys let's get united, and instead of us going with the dairy farmers and everybody else like we normally do in February, let's just get a couple of days where it's just all about grapes and we share each other's message.
We're with you. I think we're working towards that, right, Sam?
Yes. So, and Donna, we didn't address it on this call, but we are, the Wine Classic has been postponed.
I understand.
Until February. And so our idea was to actually hold the Classic in Albany to sort of align up with this, legislative visits, engage the legislature. So I think, I guess the first thing I should have said is, yes, let's talk more and make sure that our three organizations are working together, because I think that it's going to make for a more powerful lobby day. And I think I'll just, we're hoping to launch a sustainability program for the wine industry, and we have seed funding from GVRMA to get a Finger Lakes based program going. And we were highly likely we're going to get some additional funds from the state based on that lobbying effort we made, because we, part of the pitch to the assembly and the legislature was like, for our industry to remain competitive, we need a formal certification program for sustainability. And we know that our growers are already following the right practices. We just need it recognized. So anyway, not to give a long answer, yes, let's work together. I think it's important. Bev New York is actually going entirely online this year. So I think that's a good step in their ability to bring in some other regions. And if you want to save these dates, I think it's February 7th and 8th. We've penciled in for basically a united lobby day for the wine and grape industry. And I think, I guess obviously that's assuming we can safely return to Albany and do visits and all that. So we'll have to see. But yeah, anyway, I always acknowledge you guys because you birthed the Wine and Grape Foundation. It was the New York State Wine Grape Grower. So you're an important player.
Yeah, just don't want to get lost in the shuffle. Thanks.
Yeah.
And the dates, Sam, are February 8th and 9th. That's what we talked
all right.
Is
Maybe
it
that
Sam?
Huh?
Is that the right date? I have in my calendar. It's Super Bowl weekend.
Oh,
so I believe it's the 31st and 1st. But
okay.
I could be wrong.
I'll have to fix it on my end. Yeah, we went this year and it was Super Bowl Sunday when everyone showed up. So there was a little party in the Holiday Inn with some pizzas, and some folks went out and got some food. So a lot of gracious NIWEA members sacrificed Super Bowl at home or with their family. So we didn't want to repeat that mistake again. Do we get the well reserved again, Erica, for the?
Yeah, right now we
Okay.
do. We have to do that way ahead of time. So that's all set. Catherine Warner on our team takes care of the sip and sample event that happens in the well. She works with contact there, the LOB, and they put that all together. So far we do have that space again.
Awesome. All right, I got to fix the dates on my end. Any other questions or comments? Because it is 5 o'clock, and Ted Marks was going to be on this call, and I guess he's getting ready for he's doing a vertical tasting of his Seneca Reds, which I am going to participate in at 5:30. And it's time for a glass of New York wine, I think.
Thanks for doing such a great job, everybody at the foundation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sam and crew.
Thank you. We have a great team.
Yeah, I'm excited for the upcoming year.
Great. Thanks, Allie.
Thank you.
Charlie, any last comments before we close?
No, that's it. Just let me know when to be in Albany.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Well, thanks, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we'll talk again soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Be well, everyone.